You keep saying you want 2026 to look different, but let me ask you something. What are you doing today that deserves a different future? You can't pray for elevation while practicing the same habits that kept you down last year. You can't talk about dreams while sleeping through opportunities. Everybody wants 2026 to be the breakthrough year, but breakthroughs don't come to people who wait. They come to people who work. If you're not planting the right seeds in October 2025, don't expect a harvest next year. You can't expect God to bless habits that sabotage your own calling. Discipline is not punishment, it's alignment. It's the act of saying, I believe so strongly in the promise that I'm willing to suffer through the process. You've got dreams, goals, visions written down, but vision without consistent action is just imagination. The difference between dreamers and achievers isn't luck. It's daily discipline. It's the ability to say no to comfort and yes to calling. It's choosing to get up when everything inside you screams to stay down. If you want to see domination in 2026, you've got to start dominating your days. Every morning, every minute, every moment, it all counts. Because the future doesn't start in January. It starts right now in the small choices you make when nobody's watching. The habits you build today are the foundation for the destiny you step into tomorrow. You don't become great in the moment of opportunity. You become great in the preparation leading up to it. The grind, the consistency, the quiet commitment when the lights are off. That's where transformation begins. You're not waiting for your dreams to show up. Your dreams are waiting for you to grow up. To get disciplined, to get serious, to get focused. Because faith without work is dead, and discipline is the work that proves your faith. You want 2026 to be different, then you must be different. You've got to stop negotiating with your potential, stop giving energy to distractions, stop living like you've got time to waste. Your habits are the invisible architects of your future, shaping the world you'll live in long before you arrive there. Every choice today is a vote for the person you'll become next year. So if you want to walk in power, peace, and purpose in 2026, start walking in discipline, focus, and faith now. You can't expect a harvest where you never planted a seed. Too many people are standing in empty fields, praying for crops to grow, but they've never taken the time to till the ground, to sow, to water, to wait. You're asking God for blessings, but you haven't given him anything to bless. The soil of your future is the soil of your habits. And if you neglect the work today, the land of your tomorrow will remain barren. The Bible says in Galatians 6:7, you reap what you sow. That means if you sow laziness, you reap regret. If you sow excuses, you reap missed opportunities. But if you sow discipline, sacrifice, and obedience, you reap favor, abundance, and breakthrough. Every dream God placed in you requires effort. Dreams are not automatic. They are conditional. You want to graduate? Study. You want a business to grow? Build. You want to change your life? Change your habits. You can't just want it. You must work for it. Because wanting without working is like praying for rain while holding no umbrella. Faith doesn't ignore the grind. Faith powers it. Faith says, even when I don't see the result yet, I trust that every seed I plant will grow in its season. But let me tell you something. Sowing hurts. There's a reason most people quit before the harvest. Planting means bearing something valuable. It means taking your time, your energy, your resources, and putting them underground unseen. It feels like loss before it looks like growth. You'll wake up some days and wonder, is this even working? You'll see other people flourishing while your soil still looks dry. That's the moment the enemy whispers, quit. But you gotta remember, the seed doesn't sprout the same day it's planted. Growth happens in the dark before it shows in the light. God is developing your roots before he reveals your fruit. You've got to stop comparing your timeline on someone else's harvest. Maybe their season came before yours, but your time is coming too. If you stay consistent, see, consistency is the fertilizer of destiny. It's not about how fast you start. It's about how faithfully you continue. You might not see results in a week, a month, or even a year, but if you keep showing up, God will honor the labor. Proverbs 13:4 says, the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. That means diligence, steady effort over time, creates wealth, peace, and fulfillment. You've got to become a farmer of your own life. Wake up each day and ask, what am I sowing today? Are you sowing words of faith or words of fear? Are you sowing discipline or distractions? Every action is a seed, and your habits are the daily planning that determines your future harvest. You can't live recklessly today and expect rewards tomorrow. You can't be careless with your time and expect clarity in your purpose. You can't treat your body, your mind, your spirit like a wasteland and expect to reap greatness. God doesn't bless neglect, he blesses nurture. And understand this, sometimes the hardest part of sowing is doing it when you feel empty. You're tired, you're discouraged, you're fighting battles nobody sees, but those are the days that define your faith. Anybody can work when it's easy, but discipline is doing the work. When your emotions have left the building, that's where transformation happens. In the valley of consistency, not the mountain of motivation. When you keep showing up, heaven takes notice. God sees the hidden grind. He sees the nights you kept pushing, the mornings you didn't quit, the moments you chose integrity when compromise seemed easier. And in due season, he says, and now it's time. So when you feel unseen, remember, so is the seed. When you feel buried, understand you're not buried, you're planted. There's a difference. Burial is the end. Planting is the beginning. You may feel like life has covered you in dirt, but that's just God giving you the soil you need to grow. Every challenge, every setback, every delay is part of the process that produces your harvest. The key is not to stop sowing. Even when you don't see results, keep planting faith, effort, and gratitude, because one day that seed you watered in tears will grow into something that blesses generations. And let's be real. Some of you want the reward, but not the responsibility. You want success without sacrifice. But the principle of the seed says you can't reap what you haven't sown. You can't skip planting season and still expect a harvest. Every dream demands a deposit. You've got to give your time, your focus, your consistency. The moment you align your habits with your vision, your field starts to shift. Heaven responds to work backed by faith. So stop standing in empty soil waiting for fruit to grow. Pick up your shovel, plant the right seeds. Daily prayer, discipline, gratitude, study, action. Because the same ground that looks empty today will overflow tomorrow if you just keep sowing. Habits today create the harvest tomorrow. And the only difference between those who wish and those who win is that the winners kept working when the field still looked dry. You can't build a future with the same mindset that built your comfort zone. You can't walk into a new year carrying the same excuses, the same fear, the same laziness that held you back last time. Growth demands a trade. You've got to give up who you were to become who you're called to be. And that's not easy, because the old version of you is familiar, it's predictable, it's safe. But God didn't design you for safe. He designed you for purpose. Safe never created history. Safe never moved mountains. Safe never made impact. Safe keeps you where you are, but sacrifice takes you where you're destined to go. And that's why the scripture says in Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation isn't magic. It's management. You've got to manage your habits, manage your thoughts, manage your emotions, because what you tolerate today becomes your reality tomorrow. If you tolerate laziness, it will multiply. If you tolerate procrastination, it will steal your time. If you tolerate distraction, it will destroy your destiny. You can't ask God to bless a life you refuse to manage. And hear me, you don't drift into discipline, you choose it. Every single morning, you're faced with a decision, comfort or commitment. Comfort says, I'll do it tomorrow. Commitment says, I'll start now. Comfort says, it's too hard. Commitment says, it's worth it. The question is, who are you listening to? Because discipline is the language of faith. It's you saying to God, I believe in the vision you gave me so much that I'm willing to pay the price every day until it manifests. That's why the Bible tells us in James 2:17 that faith without works is dead. It's not enough to believe. You gotta behave like you believe. You've got to align your lifestyle with your purpose. See, dreams don't die because of lack of vision. They die because of lack of consistency. You don't lose your calling. You walk away from it one small compromise at a time. Every time you say a later, you're saying a no to your future. Every time you choose sleep over strategy, distraction over discipline, you're building walls between you and your destiny. But when you start choosing structure, you start opening doors that no man can shut. You've got to take ownership of your habits like your life depends on it, because it does. Your habits are the bridge between prayer and manifestation. You can pray all you want, but if you never prepare, you'll never receive what you prayed for. God doesn't hand crowns to people who won't carry crosses. If you want dominion in 2026, you've got to dominate your mornings in 2025. You've got to master your minutes before you master your milestones. You've got to command your day before your day commands you. You can't keep saying, when the time is right, I'll start. No, the time becomes right when you start. God bless his movement, not hesitation. The Red Sea didn't part until Moses lifted the staff. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until the people marched. The miracle doesn't happen while you're waiting for perfect conditions. It happens while you're walking in obedience. That's discipline, doing what needs to be done even when it doesn't feel good, even when it doesn't look like it's working. I know it's hard. I know it's exhausting. Some mornings you'll wake up and feel like you've got nothing left. But hear me, discipline is not about feeling strong. It's about deciding to act even when you feel weak. It's about trusting that small steps still move you forward. You don't need to sprint. Just stay steady. You don't need perfection, just persistence. God doesn't bless perfection. He blesses progress. You've got to train your mind to see beyond the pain. Because every disciplined decision is a seed for your future peace. You may not see the benefit now, but you're building momentum in the unseen. You're building spiritual muscle that will carry you through storms. When temptation comes, your discipline will protect you. When distraction shows up, your structure will guide you. Discipline is divine armor. It keeps you focused when chaos surrounds you. And let me say this, stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is spiritual. Motivation fades, but discipline remains when you tie it to purpose. You don't work out because you feel like it. You do it because you honor the temple God gave you. You don't study because it's fun. You do it because your future depends on it. You don't grind because it's easy. You do it because your calling deserves it. Discipline is your daily yes to God's purpose and your daily and no to your comfort. You've got to become allergic to excuses. Excuses are comfort food for weak character. Every time you justify your lack of effort, you feed your failure. But when you take responsibility, you starve your limitation. You start to see that discipline is not punishment. It's preparation. It's not restriction. It's refinement. It's not about losing freedom. It's about gaining focus. So I need you to decide right now who you're becoming. Are you the kind of person who reacts or the kind who responds? The kind who waits for opportunity or the one who creates it? The kind who prays for change or the one who becomes the change? You can't have 2026 domination with 2024 habits. It starts today, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, because every second you delay, the dream drifts further away. But when you lock in, when you commit, when you decide that discipline is your daily worship, you'll look back one day and realize the habits you built today became the foundation of your destiny. You will never rise above the level of your daily standard. Let that sink in, because it's not your dreams that determine your destiny. It's your discipline. It's not your goals that change your life. It's your habits. You can talk about success all you want, but if your actions don't align with your words, you're just echoing empty promises. God doesn't move on talk. He moves on obedience. Faith is not about waiting for a miracle to fall from heaven. Faith is about living in a way that invites the miracle to show up. You can't say you want greatness and still live in average. You can't pray for excellence and still perform in mediocrity. God can't bless inconsistency because it violates his character. He is a God of order, not confusion. Your standard is your signal to the world about how seriously you take your calling. Some people say they want more, but they tolerate less. They let laziness linger. They make peace with procrastination and then wonder why nothing changes. But listen, you don't get what you wish for. You get what you're willing to enforce. The moment you decide that this is the line and I won't cross it, everything shifts. Heaven responds to discipline. You can't expect divine favor when you're walking in divided focus. When God sees consistency, he releases capacity. When he sees integrity, he releases influence. When he sees obedience, he releases overflow. Look at Daniel. The Bible says he prayed 3 times a day, no matter what, no matter who was watching, no matter what law was passed. That's a standard. And because of that discipline, he was promoted above men with more experience, more education, and more connections. His faith wasn't loud, it was consistent. You don't need everyone to see your grind. You just need God to see your faithfulness, because God rewards private discipline with public elevation. Let me ask you something. What's your non-negotiable? What's that one thing you refuse to compromise? No matter how tired you are, no matter how tempted you feel, because until you set a standard, your life will always drift. Without discipline, passion becomes potential wasted. Without consistency, talent becomes time lost. You can have all the anointing in the world, but if you lack structure, the oil will spill before it ever reaches the purpose. Too many people want to be lions but love like lambs. They talk about power but sleep through opportunity. Oh, they say they want success, but they keep feeding distractions instead of their destiny. Listen, the enemy doesn't need to destroy you. He just needs to distract you. Because if he can steal your focus, he can stop your progress. That's why discipline matters. It's not just about doing more. It's about doing the right things with precision, purpose, and persistence. You can't have a championship life with a casual commitment. Every great athlete, every visionary, every kingdom builder lives by a code, a standard that separates them. They train when others rest. They study when others scroll. They sacrifice when others settle. Why? Because they understand their habits today determine harvest tomorrow. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about pursuit. It's about saying, I might stumble, but I will not stop. And make no mistake, discipline will cost you. It'll cost you sleep. It'll cost you comfort. It'll cost you friends who don't understand your grind. But it will give you something priceless, peace. The peace that comes from knowing you gave everything you had. The peace that says, I didn't waste the gift God gave me. Jesus said in Luke 16:10, he who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. That means if you can't manage the small thing, your time, your energy, your habits, you'll never be trusted with the big ones. You want elevation? Handle your now with excellence. You want overflow? Steward your season well. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. It protects your potential from being polluted by distractions. It builds spiritual muscles that can withstand storms. When you have structure, temptation loses its power. When you have order, chaos can't control you. The reason some people fall every time pressure comes is because they have emotion without foundation. But when you build your life on discipline, you build it on rock, not sand. The winds can blow, the waves can crash, but your foundation stands firm. So wake up every morning and ask yourself, what standard am I living by today? Are you operating by emotion or by principle? Are you reacting to life or responding to your purpose? Because feelings fade, but faith-fueled habits last. God honors the one who stays when it's hard, who works when it's inconvenient, who praises when it hurts. Every act of discipline is an act of worship. It's you saying, oh God, I trust you enough to be consistent, even when I can't see the outcome. You've got to decide that your standards are sacred. Don't lower them to fit in. Raise them to stand out. Don't compromise to be liked. Commit to be called. The people who mock your discipline today will marvel at your results tomorrow. Every rep in the gym, every late night study, every early morning prayer is building something eternal in you. You're not just preparing for success, you're preparing for stewardship, because what God has for you requires maturity, and maturity comes from mastery. So set your standard high, guard it fiercely, and live by it daily. Because your dreams won't come to life through chance, they'll come through character. And when you live with unwavering discipline, heaven can trust you with the destiny that's waiting. You can't expect elevation while staying surrounded by people who celebrate stagnation. You can't walk into 2026 carrying folks who refuse to grow, who make excuses, who mock your effort, who drain your energy instead of feeding your fire. Sometimes the hardest discipline isn't waking up early or grinding late. It's learning to release the people who refuse to move forward with you. I'll move forward with you. Because not everyone assigned to your life is assigned to your destiny. Some people were only meant to teach you a season, not travel your lifetime. If you keep trying to drag those who won't change, you'll spend your strength fighting for what God already told you to leave behind. Leave behind. The word says in Amos 3:3, free can two walk together unless they agree. That means you can't build destiny with people who don't share your direction. You can't chase greatness while holding hands with mediocrity. You can't soar like an eagle while surrounding yourself with chickens who can't see beyond the ground. The people around you either pull you higher or weigh you down. There's no middle ground. Some of you are losing energy, not because your dream is too heavy, but because your company is too crowded. You're trying to take everyone to a place that requires elevation, but not everyone wants to climb. Let me be real with you, growth requires separation. Even Jesus had to separate himself. He had the multitude, but he didn't give everyone access. He had 12 disciples, but even within that 12, he had 3, Peter, James, and John. And when it came time for his most intimate battles, Gethsemane moments, he went alone. That's divine order, because not everyone has the capacity to handle your calling. Some people are good-hearted but spiritually heavy. They mean well, but they can't go where God is taking you. You have to stop confusing loyalty with limitation. Just because you love them doesn't mean you're meant to stay stuck with them. And hear me, it's not pride, it's purpose. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You can't fulfill your assignment if you can't fulfill your assignment if you're constantly managing other people's complacence. Stop dimming your light because others are uncomfortable with your shine. Stop shrinking to make others feel tough. God didn't call you to blend in. He called you to break through. You've got to reach the point where your purpose is more important than their approval. Because the same people cheering for your comfort will often criticize your calling. Some of you are waiting for people to understand your vision before you move. But understand this, your vision was given to you, not to them. God didn't consult the crowd before he anointed you. He didn't take a vote before he called your name. Stop explaining spiritual elevation to people still living emotional stagnation. They can't see what you see because they don't carry what you carry. When God gives you a dream, he also gives you a level of solitude because solitude sharpens focus. Isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. You've got to protect your environment like your destiny depends on it, because it does. When you surround yourself with disciplined people, your job multiplies. When you walk with builders, you stop wasting time with breakers. When you talk with visionaries, small talk feels suffocating. Iron sharpens iron. But if all your iron is dull, you'll stay stuck in sparks instead of creating fire. You need people who challenge you to be better, who correct you with love, who push you toward purpose, not comfort. If everyone around you is content while you're struggling to grow, it's time to upgrade your circle, and don't get it twisted. Sometimes the separation won't come from you. God himself will start removing people. He'll close doors you thought you needed. He'll end relationships that once felt permanent. He'll make certain conversations uncomfortable, not because he's punishing you, but because he's protecting your purpose. The pruning is painful, but it's proof that something greater is being prepared. In John 15:2, Jesus said that every branch that bears fruit, the Father prunes it so it can bear more fruit. You're not being cut off. You're being cut back to grow stronger. Some of the pain you're feeling right now isn't the enemy attacking, it's God editing. He's removing what can't go where you're going. Every distraction, every dead weight, every person whose time in your story has expired. He's cutting them away so your roots can go deeper and your reach can go higher. Because if he doesn't prune you, your blessings will break you. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins, and you can't live a new season surrounded by old habits and old mindsets. That's why you got to do inventory on your environment. Ask yourself, who's speaking into my life? Who's feeding my spirit? Who's praying for me? Not just playing with me. Not just playing with me. Not just playing with me. Because your surroundings will always influence your standards. If you're around people who think average is enough, you'll start lowering your ceiling to fit their comfort. But when you walk with people of vision, you'll start believing bigger, acting bolder, and dreaming deeper. So don't be afraid to outgrow people. You're not better than them. You're just built for a different battle. You're not abandoning them. You're answering a higher calling. God will use your elevation as their education. One day they'll look at your life and realize what obedience, discipline, and divine focus can produce. But right now, you gotta stay faithful to the separation season. Don't chase who's leaving, chase what's next. Don't cry over closed doors. Thank God for the ones that lead to destiny. Because the moment you stop fighting for people who aren't fighting for their own growth, you free your soul to walk in power, purpose, and peace. Pressure doesn't destroy you, it defines you. The same fire that melts wax hardens clay. The difference isn't in the fire, it's in the material. See, everybody prays for blessings, but few are ready for the burden that comes with it. When God places pressure on your life, it's not punishment, it's preparation. He's molding you, shaping you, refining you like gold in a furnace. Because the only way to separate gold from impurities is through heat. And I'm telling you today, if you're feeling the heat, if life feels heavy, if it feels like you're being stretched beyond what you can handle, good. That means God is still working. That means you're still in the process. That means your purpose is being purified. You see, pressure exposes the truth. It reveals whether your foundation is built on faith or fear. When everything is going right, everybody's got faith. But real faith shows up when the lights go out, when the bills pile up, when your dream looks impossible, when you've done everything right and life still knocks you down. That's when you find out who you really are. David didn't become a giant killer because life was easy. He became a giant killer because he faced something bigger than himself and refused to run. The pressure of that battlefield brought out the warrior that had been hid inside him all along. Some of you right now are asking God to remove the storm, but the storm is the classroom. You're saying, Lord, get me out. And he's saying, no, I'm trying to grow you up. You're asking him to end the pressure. And he's saying, no, this is where you learn who I am. See, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego didn't meet God on the mountaintop. They met him in the fire. The miracle didn't happen before the pressure. It happened inside it. God didn't pull them out of the furnace. He stepped into it with them. That's what pressure does. It forces you to rely not on your own strength, but on his presence. When you stop running from pressure and start learning from it, everything changes. Diamonds are not born shining. They're just chunks of coal that refuse to quit under pressure. So when life squeezes you and the weight feels unbearable, you've got to remind yourself, I'm not breaking, I'm becoming. You're becoming stronger, wiser, sharper. That heartbreak, that rejection, that failure, it wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to discipline you. Because pressure without purpose is just pain, but pressure with purpose becomes power. You've got to learn to handle the weight of your own calling. Everybody wants the crown, but nobody wants the cross. Everybody wants the glory, but few want the grind. The anointing you're praying for requires endurance you haven't developed yet. You can't carry what you haven't trained for. That's why God allows the pressure. It's not to crush you, it's to condition you. Every late night, every tear, every disappointment is God's way of building your capacity. Because what he's about to pour into your life can't fit into a weak vessel. You've got to be stretched to be strengthened. When Peter stepped out of the boat, he didn't walk on water, he walked on a word. Jesus said, come, that's it. No guarantees, no safety net, just one word. And as long as Peter kept his eyes on Jesus, he walked on what others drowned in. But the moment he looked at the waves, he sank. The moment he focused on the problem instead of the promise, he fell. Some of you aren't sinking because the water's too deep. You're sinking because your focus is too low. Stop staring at the storm and start standing on the word. Faith doesn't deny reality. It declares authority over it. You've got to understand, faith doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in resistance. Just like muscles, it needs pressure to develop strength. That's why God doesn't always remove the mountain. He teaches you how to climb it. He teaches you how to climb it. He doesn't always calm the storm. He trains you to sleep through it. Remember Jesus on that boat? The disciples panicked, thinking they were about to die while Jesus was asleep in the same storm. Why? Because he wasn't focused on what was happening around him. He was resting in who was within him. That's faith. That's peace that passes understanding. That's the power of knowing that even if the waves roar, the word remains. Faith is not an emotion. It's a decision. It's saying, I choose to trust even when I don't understand. It's standing firm when everything else is shifting. Abraham had that kind of faith. God told him to leave everything familiar and go to a land he'd never seen. No map, no plan, no details, just a promise. And he went. That's faith in motion. Some of you keep asking for clarity, but God's waiting for commitment. You want the full picture, but faith is built one step at a time. If he showed you everything, you wouldn't need faith. You just need directions. Sometimes God hides his plan to reveal his power. He allows uncertainty to stretch your dependency because the truth is faith is forged in fire. It's born in the places where logic fails and trust takes over. You gotta stop trying to figure out every move and start trusting that God already worked it out. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He's not guessing how your story ends. He wrote it. But hear me, faith without action is dead. You can't just pray and sit. He can't just pray and sit. You've gotta move like it's already done. When the walls of Jericho stood tall, God told Joshua to march, not to moan. He told him to walk around the wall, shout, and watch what happens. That's what faith does. It moves before it sees. It praises before it receives. It works while it waits. You can't just believe for the blessing. You've got to behave like it's on the way. And don't expect faith to be convenient. It will cost you comfort. It will stretch you past logic. It will challenge your schedule, your circle, your certainty. But it will also unlock doors no man can shut. Because faith isn't about what you can control. It's about what you can't. It's about putting your life in God's hand and saying, even if it doesn't happen the way I thought, I still trust you. So keep believing when others stop. Keep walking when others quit. Keep praying when the answers are delayed. Because faith isn't about seeing results. It's about trusting the process. Every try, every tear, every test, it's all training. God is building endurance in your spirit. He's teaching you to walk by faith, not by comfort. And when you finally step into your promise, you'll look back and realize the waiting wasn't wasted. It was working.